We are on the brink of a mental health crisis, and this is why I am so appreciative of the folks over at BetterHelp. They provide the largest online counseling platform worldwide. They change the way people get help with facing life's challenges by providing convenient, discreet, and affordable access to licensed therapists. BetterHelp makes professional counseling available anytime, anywhere through a computer, tablet, or smartphone. Sign up today. Go to BetterHelp.com and use the promo code SolvingHealthcare and get 10% off sign-up fees.
COVID has affected us all, and with all the negativity surrounding it, it's often hard to find the positive. One of the blessings it has given us is the opportunity to build an avenue for creating change, starting right here in our community. Discussing topics that affect us most, such as racism in healthcare, maintaining a positive mindset, creating change, the importance of advocacy, and the many lessons we have all learned from COVID. If you or your organization are interested in speaking engagements, send a message to quadcast99@gmail.com, reach out on Facebook at Quadcast, or online at drkwadwo.ca.
Welcome to Solving Healthcare. I'm Kwadwo Kyeremanteng. I'm an ICU and palliative care physician here in Ottawa and the founder of Resource Optimization Network. We are on a mission to transform healthcare in Canada. I'm going to talk with physicians, nurses, administrators, patients and their families because inefficiencies, overwork, and overcrowding affects us all. I believe it's time for a better healthcare system that's more cost-effective, dignified, and just for everyone involved. Quadcast Nation, welcome back. We have a tremendous episode. We got Jodi Wilding in the mix. She is a life and leadership coach who we connected to recently. She lives in the hood, actually, and it was one of our first in-person interviews, which was really exciting. And I think you're going to see her represent and help out a little bit on solving wellness, as you know, our means of changing the boogie. But yeah, I think you guys are going to really enjoy this episode because we dive in a bit on like really empowering yourself in terms of your own wellness. So you hear me really harbor on that. One of the terms she used, self-leadership and the power of that and really thinking about ways of being more fulfilled, finding our purpose, reaching our potential, and how that directly will improve our wellness, reduce our burnout. And I gotta say, throughout the interview, I kept on asking myself what I could be doing more of. And I think this is why I enjoyed the episode so much. And so I think you guys are going to love her. And without further ado, let's do this. Got Jodi Wilding. All right, Quadcast Nation, this is our first live interview in a very long time, and I'm doing it with my newfound neighbor, Jodi Wilding. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be doing this with you.
I'm glad to finally make this happen. So I think a bit of the appeal of why I wanted to get you on the show was this idea of really empowering healthcare professionals to reach their potential and at the same time addressing burnout. I really think this is a huge upside to address these things. So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, because you're a life and leadership coach, which I don't know too many of in my life, but how did you get into this field? What was your background? Because, obviously you still are doing nursing, but what led you to want to do this?
Yes. So it has been a bit of a journey. I've been in healthcare for about 20 years in different capacities. And I've always just been really curious about human behavior change, why people do the things that they do. And it did start even with my dad, actually, with his own health and wellness. He was a type 2 diabetic. He also had Parkinson's. And so he knew the things that he should be doing, but it's like, why aren't you doing those to take care of yourself? So it kind of that was the start of the journey. And then looking at patients and coworkers, and again, like why people are acting the way that they're acting and doing the things that they're doing. And, we know these things, but why aren't we doing it? And so and even just myself, like my own wellness and feeling kind of stuck and knowing that there was something more, but like, what is that more and how do I get that? And so it just began this journey, and I found coaching. And I just really loved it. It made a huge difference in my life and how I approach my profession, how I approach just life in general. And I see how it benefits just my patients, my family, my people.
Your people.
My people.
Your people. No, it's amazing because, I do think when it comes to healthcare, we need to be thinking outside the box these days. Like we're in we're essentially in a crisis as far as I'm concerned at so many levels. And I just think the traditional approaches need to be re-examined. And so, like finding that what it takes to adapt change and improve ourselves is so important. So what were some of the, how do I put this? What do you find are some of the barriers? Like why are people having such a tough time with, when they know what they need to do, but aren't able to get to the goal? Like what are some of the barriers that you're seeing?
So I think it can be a little complex. I think there's like multiple different layers, but I think essentially we start adapting these like beliefs, limiting beliefs about ourselves and about the way things are, and we become habitual. We're people of habit, and we develop these routines, and it's exactly what you said. Like sometimes we need, and this is where coaching comes in, is like help us think outside that box and like actually challenge those beliefs and see like, is this really true? These stories that we're telling ourselves, and how to embody like a new way of being and experiencing the world around us, that is often different than what we grew up kind of believing. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, absolutely. Like it is thinking differently. It's a different, because you think about the perspectives that we're used to, like especially in medicine, I just feel like the perspectives are almost always the same. You gotta do this to get to Y, but no one asks themselves, is there a better way? Is
right,
there
exactly. We're doing things because that's the way it's always been done, but it is time that maybe what we're doing isn't right. It's not working. It's clearly not working, right? And so what is that new way?
Yeah. I must say there's something, I'm always curious to because a lot of people know there's a problem, but they don't change. Like what is it about you? I'm just put you on the spot there, but like, what is it about you that made you pivot, look into coaching? Like, did you have a mentor? Did you what is it? What makes you special?
Well, I don't know if I'm necessarily special, but like what made me go into like coaching or what?
Yeah, like or to even think about something else outside of traditional means. Because how many people do you know, like honestly, amongst your colleagues or what have you, how many people do you know are doing coaching or like involved with the coach?
So now I think it's becoming more and more mainstream because I think people are realizing and seeing the benefits in this. For me, it honestly, like it took a while. I first heard of this coaching profession, actually just before I went into nursing. And then again, when I was coming out of nursing. And it was something that I was always a little bit curious about. And so it was always just kind of there in the back of my mind. And I would dabble in it here and there. And just, I guess, just in my own journey, I was feeling, sort of stuck. I was trying to find this different way. I went to see multiple different counselors, and it was really coaching that made the most profound difference in my life and did just really change, again, like how I experience the world around me and how I show up.
Okay. Yeah. So like, and not to get too personal, but like what, so you got involved in coaching, like like what's an example of what changed for you? Like whether it's perspective, whether it's approaches to health, like what changed for you?
I think now the biggest thing, I guess, would be one, just like, no, sorry. That was a complicated one. For me, it is like, it's a more spiritual way, like that whole mind, body, soul connection, right? Like, I think we're good at understanding, to move our body and to treat our body well. And our mind too, to a certain extent. But I think a lot of us are missing that soul, that spiritual piece. And I think, it's that meaning, that purpose, that I think a lot of us are desiring, but don't know how to access and to tap into that.
Yeah, because I got to tell you too, like, I think a lot of this stuff plays into burnout. Like I think people need direction. What is their purpose? What is their values? And so yeah, maybe we could talk about some of the kind of principles that you or pillars or what have you that are important to kind of work through, like in terms of trying to enhance our well-being. Because I know we were talking a little bit about this offline, like about some of these pillars, but like in terms of like where to start, like what comes to mind?
Well, first I'll just say this, like, so healthcare is a high pressure environment, right? And it attracts high achievers, perfectionists, type A personalities, people that are really good at achieving goals in life and checking off all those boxes. But then they're missing a lot of times that fulfillment piece. They're delaying things. They're delaying self-care. They're delaying connection. And even self-awareness to a certain extent, until they're there, right? But then that never comes. And so that's part of that exhaustion and burnout piece, is that one, maybe we're not showing up fully as ourselves. We're feeling like maybe an imposter in our life. We're striving for something, like maybe it's people pleasing or whatever it is that leads to exhaustion, depersonalization, feeling like we're not being effective, and essentially anxiety and burnout.
So what I'm hearing is a lot of, what is it, like I can't say the word. You're a martyr. You're a martyrism. I can't say it. Where you like do a lot of, you're not really thinking yourself. You're thinking of, you're doing, I don't know, a lot of people pleasing. You're not being necessarily authentic. You know what I mean? Like your authentic self, which I mean, I can say personally, as a guy that went through the ranks, this was one of the advice I would give to myself, younger self, or to the kids, is like, don't lose yourself. Like, stay authentic, because you spend a lot of energy being, what's the opposite of a disauthentic? Unauthentic? Not authentic. I can't even speak anymore. Not authentic, because you're trying inauthentic. You're trying to look good in front of your preceptors, your colleagues. Make sure you get into the residency, fellowship, staff job that you want. So it's a lot of. All right, that's hilarious, Dr. Millington. Thank you so much for telling that joke. That was great. I hate that joke, in fact, but I'll just smile and nod because I think that's what I got to do.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of that, I'm sure, but yes, showing up authentically and being you. And, I think people, they feel anxious, especially high achievers, high performers, right? It's all about productivity and being successful, but then we achieve these things and it just doesn't feel how we think it should feel. And so we're like, okay, well, what next? And I'll just keep going and keep going. And you're like chasing this mirage, essentially, that just never comes, right? And so that also leads to, it's like a self-repeating cycle, because then you start feeling anxious. And so then you feel, okay, well, I'm going to be more productive. I'm going to do more. I have to know more. Right? Where a lot of times it is actually just, and we've talked about this before, that whole idea about slowing down and like having a little bit of like silence in your day and quiet. There's so much noise around us that it's actually just turning inward. You know, a lot of times it's just these little subtle shifts inside that can make all of the difference outside.
I don't think there's enough emphasis on slowing down. Like I know, I mean, you look up on your, I don't know, your Instagram or whatever, they're telling you to meditate and what have you, and I don't know how many people are religious about it, but you know, you think about some of the people listening now, 30-some-year-old mom with 2 or 3 kids, trying to balance, you know, family life and work, balancing schedules, kids' activities, being productive at work, like being a husband or wife, whatever. Like, it's hard to balance all that stuff and to create some space. And I think, as you mentioned, a lot of people are martyrs. They're like, I'll be happy. Like, I got to take care of everybody else. I got to make sure everybody else is doing okay. But how important is it really to have that space to just be? Like,
it's so important.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I often hear is, you know, people are waiting. We're all waiting for, you know, vacation to actually feel good and relax, or waiting for retirement to do the things that we like really enjoy to do then, and that would actually like fill us up, right? But no, like start doing that now. Like 100%. It's important to do that now, because that's what nourishes you. That's what gives you energy to like go about your day and to do all of these things, right?
Helps you to be your full and present self. Like, I mean, even the nature of our jobs. I mean, how many people have you seen that's retired? I can't wait to retire, and then they retire, and then 2 months, 3 months later, they get their terminal diagnosis.
Personally, I never plan on retiring.
Yeah, that's me too. Like, I never planned. I mean, I'll slow down, I'll shift gears, but I want to keep my brain fresh and
totally.
And like, we spend so much of our life being challenged. Like, that's part of, I don't know, of identity, or if it's just part of the joys of life is being pushed towards something. And the thing I really appreciated you saying though is we need to stop saying we'll be happy when, because that when really, you know, when you get that amazing job, there's new challenges. There's
exactly. And you hear that like, so like, I'll be happy when, you know, I have a partner and am in a relationship. I'll be happy when, you know, I have enough money, all these things. Like, it never happens. That it is really a mirage, you know? So it's be happy now, you know?
Be happy now. No, those are words to live by Jodi. You heard her here. Be happy now,
be happy
Quadcast
now.
Nation. No, but that is certainly a philosophy in our house. Like, we're just, it's now. Like, we're not waiting for shit. And then the other component too is, if you got the means and there's something that you want to do, you do it.
You do it
100%. Like, you feeling like a trip to go see mom or a loved one, do it.
Do it.
Yeah, you won't regret it.
No.
I've never regretted doing something, you know, along those lines. I was thinking, we were just with our friends in Toronto, and she's been on the show before. Little Henry, like my pseudo nephew, he was diagnosed with a neuroblastoma at 8 months. And I remember sitting in my buddy's office with Mike Hartwick. I was just like in shambles, thinking about what the family was going through. And he's like, "What are you doing next week?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Just go see them." I'm like, "You know what? You're right. Like, I know they're in Edmonton and we're in Ottawa, but yeah, I can't believe how therapeutic that was. Just
going.
Yeah, I'll never forgot that, because it was kind of like a pivot in mindset for me of saying, just do it.
Just do it.
Fuck it.
Well, exactly. And there's so many things, I think, you know, that desires that we have and things that we want to do, but then we stop ourselves. We tell ourselves all the reasons why we can't or we shouldn't, right? Like, that's a huge thing, the should and should nots that dictate how people live their lives. But when we keep like suppressing this stuff and not doing this stuff, then it leads to like dissatisfaction, leads to like depression and unhappiness. And these are the things that are really important.
Yeah, 100%.
In life, and listening and actually like acting on these. Just do it.
And just do it. And then the time the time, you need that time to listen for this to register. So that's that
right.
creating
that's where
space.
That stillness comes in.
Yeah, it's like why I've discovered a new love of synchronized swimming. Like I was going to be a semi-pro synchronized swimmer.
Oh, I love
it's
that.
going to be or solo synchronized swimming. That's what I'm working on right now. Anyways,
that I'd like to see.
Do you though? What about what are some of the other concepts that are leading to kind of burnout or lack of fulfillment? Like, yes, it's clear that not being authentic and not having enough space and time contribute. Any other kind of themes that come up?
So I think like one of the big things that I would encourage, healthcare providers, anyone really to do that is feeling burnt out in their current career, in their current position, is to like think back about and get it reconnected with what your why is. There's a reason why you chose this profession in the first place. Like, and thinking back to what did you think it was going to be like? What was the impact that you wanted to make? What were you hoping to achieve and to do, right? Yeah. And so getting back in touch with that and seeing like, okay, how can I, if it's not like that, well, how can I create that? Right?
So basically, going back saying, I always wanted to be a nurse. I always wanted to be a physiotherapist. Why? What did I picture? Why did I want to dance with this? What has changed, or what has led me astray, or what can I do to get back on track to why I wanted to do this? Because I'm thinking of like several people in my head right now that have come to me saying like, so much has changed, especially peri or post-pandemic, whatever you want to call this timeline, where, some of the things that they enjoyed in nursing specifically just got taken away a little bit because of, less resources, less time, less connection with family because of, some of the restrictions and so forth. And I think this is something that that is probably underappreciated in terms of why so many people are unhappy with their job. And I guess the question, because a lot of people don't realize this but not do anything about it, but like, I think people probably have more power to do something about it than they think.
You're absolutely right. And that's exactly what I was going to say. And we often like blame our circumstances, blame like our surroundings, and we do really have more power than we believe to create our experience, to create our reality. And there are shifts, like what is it that you can do? And I felt this way too years back in my own profession. I was like, I'm not able to provide the care that I wanted to provide. I felt like, all of these other things were happening around me that was preventing me to do that. But then, no, I get in touch with what is it that I want to do? What is it that makes me feel good at the end of the day, at the end of a shift, that I feel like I've accomplished something? And so also focusing on that, right? And bringing more of yourself into it and what makes you happy. And you can, even though there are all these other things potentially going on around, there is always something that you can do, right?
Like you have more skin or more power to contribute than you think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and is this part of, like when you talk to clients and what have you, this is kind of part of what is this?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it comes to, that self-awareness and self-leadership and, and expanding what people, how they're approaching their career, kind of like challenging them a little bit on some of these stories that we're telling ourselves about why we can't do what we want to do.
Get that negative bullshit out of your blind grapes. But I like that term. I like that term, self-leadership. Like, maybe expand on that a little bit more. Like really just taking responsibility in terms of your growth. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it comes from, like more self-awareness, self-mastery, right? The more that we are connected with who we are, with our values, and grounded in that, the more resilient we are, the more we're able to show up to our lives with compassion, with authenticity, with heart, and the bigger impact we're able to make.
No, I like that because, I just feel a lot of people, what I'm seeing from a lot of folks, and I'm worried about this with our youth actually, is the not feeling empowered enough to create change within themselves or at a larger scale. Like, I just see so many people so apathetic. Oh, this is what they told me to do, so I gotta just do it and just bite the bullet and just be so miserable and wish that I could crawl into a ball and, like just that negative talk and that negative body language. Like, I was seeing a lot of it, especially in the heights of the pandemic. But yeah, like this is something I think that needs to be scaled to a certain degree. Like, we really need people to feel empowered and really have that message out there, like that you can have the power to improve and to define.
You do. The power absolutely does lie within you, right?
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know if this is a natural sequitur, but like I often, like in my personal life, I've always had like something. I've had this, what do you call it, like a chip on your shoulder. I've used that as a motivator. Like I call it the kind of like I call it a FU coefficient. Like when somebody says you can't do something, or you know people are saying, oh, this can't be done, this can't change, or whatever. I'm like, okay, we'll see about that. You know what I mean? And
I love that. Yeah.
And then you just kind of, there's times where maybe you're not making as big of a dent as you would hope, but there are times where, hey, you do show up and you do make a difference. But like for me, I'm thinking specifically too about a lot of the stuff around the pandemic when it came to the kids' schools being closed, all the kind of negative impact on kids, and we collectively, a lot of us collectively chipped away and said, what can we do? And showed up in the ways that we knew how to. But I can promise you, it made a difference, and there was a lot of the fuck you coefficient, like saying, oh, you know what, it's a fait accompli, no way.
Yeah, I'll prove you wrong. Yeah. No, I love that. I have a little bit of that in me too.
Yeah.
But, it's like, no, I'm going to show you a different way. Challenge that.
I'm still curious of what the root, like why, because not everyone has that. I'm always curious if it was like some cycle, like some of the way you were raised, or the way, maybe you had to deal with some adversity as a youth. But I'm always curious, like some people that are just like, you know what? No, I'm going to keep plugging. What makes it? I don't know if you've ever put some thought into that, but anyways, I'm always curious to what makes that person
like have that.
Yeah.
The fuck you coefficient.
Yeah, the juice. Yeah, like the.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from for me. I've just always, I think, been a little bit stubborn and like, I'm going to do things my own way. Yeah, I lost that for a little bit there, but now it's definitely coming back.
No, it's in full effect.
It's in full effect.
Watch out, world. Jodi's coming in full effect. All right, so, actually one other question about purpose. Like, do you find it's easy to, like, is it do you find most people can recall that easily? Like, does that take a lot of work to say, like, what was your why? Or is it one of those things that's like, takes 5 minutes to think about and they jump up on the train?
So I think everyone's really different when it comes to that. And some, we have it just so buried and we're just so disconnected from ourselves that it does take a little bit more kind of digging to kind of figure that out. And to even just realize like what our values are and how we can bring more of that forward. And so there is like a process that I go through with people, like looking at these questions and also just looking back at times in our life when we were feeling like joyful, when we were feeling happy, when we were feeling really good about what it was, what we're doing, and picking up on these patterns and themes throughout our lives, and then seeing, what's missing now, and how can you bring more of that forward and into your current life.
Yeah, I like that. Reverse engineer that bad boy.
Yeah.
What's worked in the past. Yeah, no, that makes sense, because I think as the years go by, as we were talking about, I was just thinking like it might be a bit more challenging to think of like, really, what is my why? So much has changed in work and life, and like if priorities change, you grow a family, and like all these things. But no, this is gold, Jodi. So we talked about purpose, about finding your why, which is clearly important. We talked about a bit of, I guess we talked about fulfillment too, like about. Did we talk about fulfillment?
We did. We touched on fulfillment a little bit and just not delaying that, and how to create more fulfillment in your life now. And the 3 sort of foundations that I work with are presence, connection, and self-care. And so connection is really key. And I think that, connection is so important to our well-being, to our happiness. And that's not just connection, to like family and friends, although that is definitely very important. It's also connection to ourselves, connection to our work and what we're doing, which that's kind of brings in that whole purpose. Connection to our coworkers. Like I've definitely found in the different places that I've worked, the places where people tend to be the happiest and the most fulfilled, they have a really good connection to what they're doing, but also to their team. So I do think that is really important in healthcare and in our units. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that connection piece, I think, is everything. I look back at that's what got us through the beginning of the pandemic, to be honest with you. It's just, we were connected in purpose, and then we were there for each other. Some of the things that have brought us together too now is actively thinking about connection, like having events. We had a softball tournament that really seemed to bond the group at the Ottawa Hospital there. And I think when people in organizations are thinking about wellness and burnout and so forth, they need to think about the connection piece, because I don't know, like sometimes I feel like a lot of the wellness is like module driven or whatever, but I would ask yourself, are you creating an environment where connection can happen? What are you actively doing that? And then the other part to that too is, when we, over the last 2 years, not being able to see friends and family as much has really, in my mind, it like worsen the mental health and the burnout side of things. But yeah, that connection side, it's huge. It's huge. Beast. And it's something too that I just, I feel now with like the way technology is, and we're always on our cell phones and, and social media and stuff. Like, yes, you can connect through there, but it's not that same as like just human to human connection. Right. Yeah. And I feel like people, especially maybe like the younger generations, are kind of like losing that. And we're, as humans, it's just so key. It's so powerful.
It's to me, by definition, like that's what being a human being, that's what it is. You're not meant to be isolated.
No.
You're not meant to, stay on Zoom for
no
8 hours at a time.
You're definitely not.
I mean, and this is why I also like I said before, first interview live in a long time. It's so much better.
It's so much better in person.
Yeah, it's so much, and it's way easier.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned connection. What were the other two you mentioned?
Presence and self-care.
Yeah. So maybe I'll elaborate a bit on the presence piece. Like, what's that look like?
So I think presence, it's, being intentional through our day. And I think often we're just so, we think multitasking is kind of the way to go. And we're doing like 10 different things at one time, which can be exhausting and overwhelming. And then we still feel like we're not doing enough and being enough. And so it's really just being intentional and doing like one thing and doing it well. And then moving on and being, efficient.
Yeah. Like, I must say, maybe just because there's always so much going on, that principle of being just present, like doing dishes, this stage of my life, don't let my wife hear this, but like, I love it. Like where I don't have to, sometimes you gotta like, you multitask a little bit because the kids are going nuts or whatever, right. But just knowing that you get to kind of like be in almost like a meditative zone, just think about, this is the only thing you're thinking about.
Right, exactly. And you get to just focus in on that task and just, yeah. Yeah.
But it's a skill actually though, like to not think about 9 things at once. Cause that's the way I know personally I'm wired. I'm like normally thinking about so many things within a flash, what are we doing for supper? Where's that kid? Did I submit that paper? Did I do, like what's next on the schedule? Like so many things that easily could just pop up there. But yeah, just trying to be more present, I think we could all benefit from.
Totally. And it is, you're right. It is a practice and it's one that I'm consistently trying to work on and improve myself. And I do find one of the things that I heard years ago was about just getting up even like earlier, like before my son, because if you wake up at the same time or just after, then you're kind of like on defense all day. Yeah. Right. And so you wake up that little bit earlier and just kind of like set your intention for the day and how you want to, like, it is possible to actually think about how I want to be in my day. How do I want to experience this day today? And like come from that place versus, this place of just like defense all day and just, trying to catch up kind of thing.
No, I like that a lot. I've been trying to do that. So I haven't done the wake up early thing because the Coco, our latest puppy, is keeping us all awake all the time. Coco. Oh, Coco, you mother. Anyways, we love you, Coco. I know you're listening. Number one fan. But being intentional on how we show up, this is something I don't know if I read this in a book or on a pod or whatever, but this is something that I've been trying to do more of. Like, so before entering the house after work, I'll be like, I'm going to be a present dad. I'm not going to be as testy because I know I'm hangry a little bit. I'm going to let the boys do their thing and just be that dad. Or when I show up at work, despite being, having 4 hours of sleep, telling myself I'm going to be that engaged, a little bit on the happier side, have a positive energy walking in the door, kind of picture that. And this is what's going to make this work day that much more
absolutely
joyous.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's it right there. And I like what you said too about just like, I'm going to be a present dad. And I think, that's what we struggle with too is like, and I know I had this, especially with COVID when my son was home and you're trying to like teach kindergarten and then you're also trying to work. And it was like really just, okay, I am here and I'm going to be present right now. And be the best mom that I can be and teacher right now. And then shift that gear into, okay, now I'm going to work and I'm going to focus on work for this period of time too. Right.
Yeah. I find what has helped with that shit is scheduling time for all of it. So like if I know I gotta submit something, instead of like, I know I have time allotted for it. So instead of while I'm playing Beyblades for the 15th time with little Zeke, love you too.
Number 2 fan?
Yeah, number 2 fan. You go, Zeke. I know, doing that for 15 minutes is not going to impact what I got down the pipeline. Like I've booked it. I've had that time to dedicate it. I know that's helped me personally to kind of be more present.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. And then I was gonna say the phone thing too is sinister. But you know what's helped? I see you're an Apple Watcher. Are you an Apple Watcher? Yeah, like I've actually find that helps.
How so?
Because then you put so like if my phone's not attached to me physically and I get dinged for whatever, say someone's telling me I got to pick up somebody, instead of now, if I have the phone in my hand, I might also see a headline that says, Oilers are trading XYZ player. So now I'm going to scroll through that. I might as well check my WhatsApp, might as well check my Signal, might as well go and then that's 15 minutes all of a sudden instead of what that was going to be, which was 40 seconds or whatever. So I find
okay,
like having the phone put away when you walk through the door is helpful. And because in case mommy is listening, I know I don't do that every time, but I do find for
Busted.
presence, the watches do help.
Yeah, I don't really use my watch to full effect. I'm not a technical person.
Oh, I witnessed that a little bit when it came to getting the Wi-Fi going. I was like, holy, I was going to...
No, my friend makes fun of me all the time. Like, yeah, because I don't do the updates on my phone. I don't do anything. And she's like, yeah, I don't back anything up. I'm hopeless when it comes to technology.
Scheduling, do you schedule on your phone?
No.
Oh my God. So many nurses. I've noticed it, like so many nurses do the paper.
Pencil and yeah. That's my thing, totally.
I ran into, Jenny Brown, just in case you're listening to this, like the general manager for our football organization, 3 boys, all in sports, not a single thing in a Google Calendar or whatever. I was like, how do you function? Like if you saw mine, you'd vomit. It's color coded. It's Kathy's is like it's crazy. But we couldn't operate any other way.
No, I like color coded, but I like pencil and I like to see it all out in front of me. And I just don't feel like I can see it on my phone.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I know I do need to switch at some point. I keep saying that because sometimes, right now I have like a big one on my desk. So I don't even I used to have like a little pocket one that I would carry around. So no, I do need to step into like 2022, but
2022, and this is still happening. Mind you, I actually no, I got rid of a pager, but we still have fax machines too.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
Okay, so we got finding purpose, fulfillment. Oh, sorry, and then we also talked about being present. We talked about. Mm-hmm. Connection was
and then self-care, and I think we did kind of talk about this a little bit, but it's like, what are the things that nourish you, and recognizing what nourishes you and what depletes you. And then also too, just I think the way people look at self-care, one, they're either just delaying it because they're too busy taking care of everybody else and they don't have time left for themselves at the end of the day, which really I think it's trying to switch that mindset and realizing like how important it is to actually like take care of yourself first, and then you just have that much more to give to everybody else. But it's also looking at self-care as like, okay, another thing to be like productive about and like check off the list, right?
Yeah.
And so looking at things like, for me, one of the biggest things that just was tennis. Like tennis was something I'm like, I've wanted to do it, get back into it for so long, and I just kept delaying it and delaying and delaying. And then finally, my friend and I are like, okay, let's do it. And we started taking tennis lessons. And I just go once a week, but it has been the best thing for me. Like I have energy for like weeks off of that because it's just like so much fun. And it's something just for me that I just really enjoy, and it just fuels me.
I like that. Because I don't know if, I mean, a lot of people, they need permission for the self-care, but also thinking, once again, what really will, even 80-20 it, like what will really give you the biggest bang for your buck in terms of filling that bucket.
And that can be hobbies. Like I know, and some people, they don't even know what that is, like what they enjoy doing. So it's really like, for some it can, you really got to tap into that and see what is it that I really enjoy doing, what would make me happy. But
I also think about, as you said before, almost reverse engineer, like reflect back at times where you were really fulfilled. What were you doing? We were talking about it this weekend too, like, because before medicine I was a bartender, and we were talking about how much fun that, like really,
right?
It was like life was really amazing. You work 3 days a week, your friends all come see you, and the kind of themes that we were talking about were there. It was all about connection then, and smiles and letting go, just being young.
Yeah, that playfulness, right?
Yeah, because we don't play enough, right?
No.
Like I was sick. We were talking about this in our house too. Like we don't play. Like we used to have more like a dance party almost nightly. We put on something on YouTube.
Yeah.
We thought the boys would like feel good about when they were quite a bit younger actually, and the whole family would get involved. And I do think that's an important thing to consider. Are we, what fulfills us or fills that bucket, but also the play can be such an important aspect of that. Like, I don't know. I'm those that are listening, I don't know if you could hear my grin, but I'm just, it's just such a truth that I think we're just not thinking enough about.
No, it's true. And so, yeah, thinking about that and how we can bring more playfulness just into life. It doesn't have to be so serious and so heavy.
Yeah, like now I think about it too. Everyone thinks, ICU, it's all, and really sad and all that. But like we try and bring that flavor. Like one of the themes that we were talking about was if you're walking into the ICU, like what would be your theme music? Do you know what I mean? Like your doors
That's
open,
fun.
And I must say, Alex Tran, that was disappointing. He said New York, New York. That was the most disappointing answer I've heard in a long time.
What was your theme song?
I chose Goonies versus E.T. by Run the Jewels, but then I realized that you need something that's like, to answer that, you need something more conventional that people would recognize. So right off the top of my head, I would want something a little bit thuggy, rappy.
I know. Do you know what came to mind? Snoop Dogg. I love that. I don't even know the title of the song, but we're sipping on gin and juice, laid back.
Yeah.
I love that. Like I love. That's what came to mind. I don't know if that would really be my theme song, but that would.
No, this is what I'm saying. Like I think it's an intuitive thing. Like I don't know if lyrics as much matter as it would be the energy. Like
right?
That's what for me. This was like. That's why I was like. That's why I was thinking about. Like if I'm thinking about a beat that would be like energetic, I want you to bob your head to it. Like even like The Club by 50 Cent. Like what's that song called? Go, shorty. Like I would even that like coming in with the go, go. Like even that,
Yeah.
I come in nice and low too. Go, go, go. Yeah, and then build up.
So this is when you're coming in on your shift?
Yeah. Your doors open, slide into the ICU. Like, what doc's on
so
today?
fun.
And there's go, shorty. It's your birthday. Like, that's how I'm thinking I would roll in. Yeah, but no, my real song though would be Goonies versus E.T. It's like an absolute energy bomb.
Goonies versus E.T.?
Yeah, it's no one's heard of it. It's Run the Jewels, my favorite rap group right now. But
no, see, and I think you do. You have to bring, especially in a place like the ICU that can be quite heavy, and you do need to find ways to like express that energy and be playful and light and right.
Yeah, no, for sure. And those that work with me, that's the norm. But yeah, that's just another one where I think we could actively daily thinking about how to implement that. Because I mean, I must say, like, if you've slept 3 hours, it's your second last day. You're walking in the door and be like, all right, here we go, it's business time. You know what I mean? Even though I think you could put a little bit of effort into adding play.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that language that we use and how we approach it, like earlier you'd mentioned about going into your shift and being like, yeah, I'm going to be joyful. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be right. When you think about that, then you actually experience that. But if you're like, I have to go into work, like I don't want to go into work, it's going to be a drag.
Yeah. No, I call it priming. It's not like my own term, but it's like you prime yourself. It's like I start thinking about this actually because I have a lot of back problems. I have not a lot of back problems. I had back issues in the past, and so one of the things is to prime your core. So one of the things I do before working out is like just core stuff to just when you're lifting heavy that you're primed, you're ready. Same thing for
absolutely
coming in with positive energy. It's easily accessible. It's primed.
Right.
As you
like
walk in the door.
Athletes get their game face on or game, right?
Yeah, game visage. Yeah. What do you got? You got game visage. Mine would be more like, I don't know what your game visage would be, but it's
yeah, I don't know.
Not to put you on the spot. You know what I mean? That's a high def camera too, so it's going to really catch it.
Really catch it.
Yeah, really intimidated. All right, Jodi, anything else that we're missing that major concept flow that we're missing in terms of, really addressing burnout amongst our healthcare providers, optimizing performance, finding fulfillment? I'm just filling in the gaps at this point. Remembering why it's important to synchronize swim. Did I say synchronize swim? Yeah. Or synchro dive. That would, to me, is one of the, can I just say this? One of the most nonsensical events I've ever heard of.
Is which?
Synchronized diving and all the, because it's like you can synchronize anything then. Synchronize bowling, synchronize like running. Like what makes diving unique? And it's like, we could do this.
I didn't know there
time.
was synchronized diving. I knew synchronized swimming.
We got I remember we got gold medal actually. Yeah. I met her actually. The gold medal, one of the.
So they're diving at the same time? Like how many people?
2. Oh. That's a good point. Why not make it 6?
Right? Why not? Just have like a whole lineup of divers just doing it. That would be something to see.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you're just making up events right now. Yeah, like, I don't know, synchronized trampoline. Anyways, synchronized hockey. Yeah.
Wow. How would that work?
Oh, I don't know. Shooting at the same time. I'd have to think about this harder.
Synchronized skating.
Yeah. Maybe
I
that's
guess that's precision skating. I used to do that. I grew up doing that.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that would be the same sort
pairs?
of thing.
No, not pairs.
Like team.
Oh, I see. That would be honestly one of the worst things I could imagine watching.
What?
Synchronized skating? Like they're all just doing everything at the same time. Like I know you're doing something fancy, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. I'm not a big
Not a big figure skater?
Yeah.
No.
I like the drama. We've totally digressed, by the way.
We totally have.
Yeah, we've totally. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I think, those are really the key things. Like I think the biggest thing is that I'm trying to say is like that more self-awareness we have, that more self-leadership that we have, like kind of stay in your lane, and bring more of you to the table, can really reduce a lot of this, like it improves your satisfaction. And when you have more connection and with your team and with your work, like it increases your morale and your satisfaction, and also too, the more grounded that you are in yourself, the more resilient you are, and it doesn't really matter what is going on around you, right? You're able to, like, you're a tree. Well, I guess that's a bad example. I was going to say like a tree with the wind, but here in Ottawa,
a non-Ottawa Ontarian tree. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like you want to be like that and just grounded in who you are and what you're doing and where you're at, and then it doesn't matter. Like you can withstand anything. Yeah,
you're the redwood. I'm just making up trees. I have no idea what trees look like. When someone said like, "What's a birch tree?" I'm like, I don't know what the fuck. I do actually know what redwoods. We were just in California. But I love it, Jodi, and I just want to say thank you for jumping on the Quadcast and really doing your part to send a positive message out that we can be empowered and take our wellness in our own hands and push towards our potential. Really have that permission to do that, and I could say firsthand. And I'm sure your clients could say the same thing. Wonderful things happen when you start, trying to reach that potential. So thank you so much. And before I forget, how do people reach out to you? So
you can go to my website and connect me through there, or just email me. It's at jodiwilding.com.
Yes. That's absolutely. So thanks you once again. And this was tremendous.
This was really fun. And thank you. I appreciate all you're doing, to create wellness to the broader world. I'm doing it one person at a time, but I appreciate all that you're doing. And thank you for having me here. This was really fun.
Absolutely. Thank you. Quadcast Nation, tell me that wasn't a gem. You know what I'm saying? That was a gem. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Quadcast. Leave any comments at quadcast99@gmail.com. Leave that 5-star rating. We need this. Helps with the visibility of the show. Check out Solving Wellness. We're trying to change that boogie. Trying to improve wellness all around. And guys, thanks so much for being involved. Thanks for listening, and we love you.